guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Janae McClain. For those who are new here, I do lifestyle videos centered around God because I believe and know that God cares about every single area of our life. In today's video, we're going to be talking about worry, how not to worry anymore. I think as a human being, our natural fleshly desire is just to worry. When things are not going our way, it's easy to just worry. It's easy to say, you know what, forget this. I give up. Lord, what is going on? It's easy to worry. But we have to understand when we are growing our relationship with Christ and when we are going through tough times or when things happen, we have to really lean on God and trust Him. See, the enemy wants us to worry. He wants us to not trust God. He wants us to really throw God to the side and say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. Forget what God has told me. Forget what God has promised me. But if God has promised you something, if God has showed you something, keep doing the work. Keep doing your part. And I promise you, God is going to show up in a mighty way. That's just how He does. And a lot of times we have to go through a pruning season so God can cleanse us from things that were once in us. So let's jump right into it because I want to help you today to stop worrying. Like I said, when I was writing these points down a few weeks ago, helping myself and just really understanding God, I was like, I need to do a video on this. So I'm going to give you these tips and I pray they help you. So number one, so I'm going to also give you a verse. If you guys read in Luke, you know, when Jesus was talking to the disciples, He said, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. This is in Luke 12. And I also want to share this one in Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and hold you with my righteous right hand. That's Isaiah 41:11. So the first tip, trust that God has great plans for you. So trust that God has great plans for you. And this is just not me saying that, but it's His word. And so if we trust God and we believe God, we know that He has great plans for you. Some of you are wondering, like, God, what is going on? Do you have great plans for me? Like, I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I'm doing. You feel completely lost. But I want you to understand that God has great plans for you. He has not changed His mind about you. His word is still available. His word is still true. Trust that God has great plans for you. You have to believe that and know that. You can't worry and say, well, does He have His great plans for me? I don't know. What's going on? Trust that God has great plans for you because He does. Number two, don't go off what you see. Rather remember what God has spoken over you. A lot of times when God has spoken something over us, and when someone has gave us a word and we know it's from God, we begin to do the work, but we also begin to look around and say, this looks nothing like what God has promised me. Lord, you said this is good. You said this, but everything feel like it's breaking down. Everything feel like it's doing this, doing that. Let me tell you and remind you, keep on following God no matter what it looks like. I don't care if this person acting up, is that person acting up. I don't care what the circumstances are. Keep on following God and keep on making sure that you are hearing from Him. When you know God has showed you something, when God has showed you a way, when God has showed you to go this way, that way, keep on following God. No matter what it looks like. It's easy to worry. It's easy to give up. When you see things in the natural, don't add up. But I promise you, in the spiritual, it is adding up. God is fighting for you. God is moving things around for you, especially when you are moving on your part. Do not go out what you see. Keep on doing the work that God has called you to do. Keep on following God. Even when it seems like people may be following, may say, hey, forget you. Keep on following God. It's going to pay off. Do not worry. Number three, have faith. Have faith, y'all. God needs us to have faith. In the word, he says it. He wants us to have faith. You have to believe. You can't be around here doing your part and then like, this is never going to happen. I'm taking 2 steps, but nothing. I'm never going to believe this. God told me to write this cookbook, but I'm just going to write it, but it's only going to sell 1 copy. God told me to start this fashion line, but I'm probably just going to sell 1 thing. God told me to do this, but nobody's going to support it. Have faith. Have faith. Don't have step. We serve a big God. You should not be thinking small. We serve a huge God. So when God has showed you something, when God has told you to do this or do that, have faith in it. Do not beat yourself up. Do not minimize God. Do not make God this small God and don't have faith. Have faith. And that goes into my next point. Faith without work is dead. Faith and work go together. If you have faith and if you know God has shown you something, you can't just sit there and be like, it's going to fall from the sky. I'm waiting for it to fall. Lord, I have faith. I really believe you, Lord, but I'm not going to do the work. No, you have to do your part. You have to do your part. If you know God has told you to start a candle line, guess what? The candles are not going to fall from the tree. Yes, he may put people in your life to help you with the candles and everything, but what are you doing? What are you doing? I have a candle right here behind me, and this is a great candle line. I'm using this as an example. I'm sure when God gave her the vision for this candle company, she didn't just sit on it. I'm sure she researched. I'm sure she went and sought out what she needed to do to start her business. I'm sure she went and looked, what are some natural oils that I can put in candles that won't make people sick. I'm sure she said, you know, what do I want my brand to look like? I'm sure she did all these things. And guess what? She has her business is growing and it's doing wonderful. Now, she may have days where the candle business does not do well. And then other days she may have days where it does wonderful. But what I'm saying is she had faith and she did the work. And now she has a candle company. But guess what? If she just would have had faith and just sat on it, this candle would not be right here. She just would have been looking around, wondering. And I'm sure along her journey, people probably came into her life and poured into her and showed her different things. Or maybe not. Maybe she did all the research by herself. And maybe she did everything on her own. Have faith and do the work. I'm saying this from example. The person who did this candle line is actually helping me with new stuff that I'm coming out with. I'm not coming out with a candle, but I have to do the work. I can't sit on my butt if God has showed me, say, Janae, I need you to do this, but I'm not doing the work. It doesn't add up. So remember to do your part. Do your part. Do your part. Don't be lazy. Do your part. Don't do your part. You need to have faith and do the work. Hard work, but it's going to pay off. Number 5, when you are doing the work, don't allow the enemy to make you think you're not doing the work or that it would never come to pass. Sometimes we do the work and we have the faith and we're just like, what is going on? Like, this is not happening fast enough. What is going on? Don't allow the enemy to attack your time. Don't allow the enemy to tell you, oh, you've been working on this for weeks and then nothing's going to happen. Just stop doing it. No. When you know God has called you to do something, when you know God is in it, keep doing the work. I promise you it's going to pay off when you know you have heard from God. Now, if you need to go back to God and say, Lord, I thought I heard from you, but I didn't, do that, but don't stop doing the work. I'm telling you, if God needs to redirect you, if you're going in the wrong path, God will redirect you as you are doing the work, but do not stop doing the work. Do not let the enemy attack your time and say, you know what, I've been doing this too long. I'm not seeing any results. Do not allow the enemy to attack your timing. The next day could be your day where it is boom, boom, boom. Do not worry. God is on your side, y'all. God is on your side. Do not allow him to attack your timing. God is working on your behalf. Number 6, trust the process. A lot of times, really most of the times, God has to take us through a process. Even with deliverance, even when you get delivered from something and you get set free from something, there's still a process you must go through to prune those things out of you. And so a lot of times God has to prune things out of us. God has to do a new work in us. And so he has to prune us. He has to reshape us. He has to do things in us so that when we get to where he wants us to go, that we are not immature people, that we are not immature Christians, that every time somebody says something, we're not clapping back. I remember when I first started my company, when the person used to like say something crazy, I always felt like I had to go back and forth. But God had to teach me, like, no, you can't do that. And so a lot of times we go through these processes or we go through these painful seasons because God's trying to prune us and we want to give up because, oh, it's too painful. Oh, I don't know what to do. But God is with you. He said he would never leave you. So during those pruning processes, during those times where you feel like everything's breaking loose, really it's falling together because God is pruning you and helping you and maturing you and doing things in you and nourishing you. And so God is doing great things in you. Do not dismiss the pruning process. This is dangerous because when you don't do it, you have to go through that season again. I know, I'm a witness. I've felt this part, and I'm like, God's like, now you got to go through this again. Do not do not dismiss the pruning process. We all need pruning. We all need healing. We all need breakthrough. We all need it. Allow the pruning process to help you. Allow the pruning process to mature you. I promise you, once you get through with that paining sight, it's going to be like you birthed some, just like birth. Whether you had natural C-section or whatever, it's still some pain in it. But when you get done, you have this baby in your hand. It may be painful what you're going through right now. Your pruning season may be painful. You may be like, everything is going wrong, Janae. What is going wrong? What is going wrong? I want you to remind you to stop worrying. And the last one, are you putting yourself in situations to cause your pain to be greater? Are you doing things that are going against God? Are you hanging with people God has told you not to hang with? Are you dating someone that you know God has told you not to date? And allowing your pruning season to be greater, allowing your pain to be greater because you're putting yourself in situations and it's causing you to worry. Do you need to fast and pray so that you can truly break free from things? What have you put yourself in? Yes, some things we do go through. Some things God has us in seasons where we need to prune. But there are also times where we put ourselves in situations that we don't need to put ourselves in. My mom says this a lot. You put yourself in that. And so sometimes we put ourselves in situations that makes things even worse. I don't believe it's God's desire for us to date someone who's mean to us, who's bullying us, who's doing crazy things to us. So are you putting yourself in situations where it's not good? Ask yourself that. Y'all, we should not live a life of worrying. We should not live a life of turmoil. Yes, like I said, there are going to be seasons where we have to prune. It's going to be painful. But you're going to come out with joy. But your everyday life should not be pain and sorrow. Stop worrying so much and trust God. Trust that God will come through for you. Trust that God will make a way for you. Trust that God is doing a new work in you. Trust that God has great plans for you. And I know He does. And so I want you to trust God in this season. And I also want you to reflect on yourself. Look in the mirror. I have to. Sometimes you gotta look at yourself and say, what am I doing that's causing this? I want to lose weight. I want to eat healthier. I want to make this money. I want to do that. But are you managing your money well? Is this what has you worried? You have this going on with your sickness, but you're eating bad food all the time. Is this why you're worried? Sometimes you have to stop and say, okay, why am I worrying? And then there are seasons, like I gave the points, why you should not worry. Because sometimes you're in a pruning season. You just need to come on out. God is refining you. So I hope this video has blessed you today. I hope this is your reminder to stop worrying and trust God. God does not want us to worry. Worry is worshiping the devil. I always say that. Like, because when you are worrying, you are not trusting God. You're basically saying, God, I don't trust you, whatever, bye. And yes, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to feel. And when those feelings come up, let's just knock them down real fast. Let's feel. Let's, if you have a trusted friend, talk to them. That's going to help you and encourage you not to worry anymore. That's going to push you closer to God. So I hope this video has helped you guys, and be blessed.